Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. I am back. I know it's been a while. Have been battling a lot of different illnesses. I also fought COVID, but I'm here to give you the content that you all came here for. I've been thinking deeply about the idea of tilting the odds in our favor. I'm one of those radical feminists who see the world through a global lens. It's funny how a lot of women believe that equality, especially in the West, will be achieved maybe when we have like a female president in the US. But for true equality to happen for women, we would need like 50 female US presidents. We would need states that prevent men from having reproductive rights. We would need female led countries where we deny men access to their rights and their liberties like they deny women. That is actual true equality. And so, globally, women, we are brought into a world where the odds are fundamentally against us. And maybe in certain countries, they have tilted those odds and created a more egalitarian society for women. But overwhelmingly, majority of the wealth held in society is still held by men. So how can we as women, especially women who have some semblance of resources, opportunities, and can dream and aspire for a better life, tilt the odds of life more in our favor? How can we make opportunities that would not have been have like create opportunities that would not have been presented to us for ourselves? How can we just open doors that ordinarily would have been shut in our faces? And these are some of the things I've come up with, and also some of the things I've applied and learned in my life. And I thought it would be very useful to share as women who really actually want to level up. Not level up in the way of, oh, I want to get a man to buy me a handbag and I want to date millionaire men. No, we're actually trying to be millionaires here. So the goal is, how can we tilt the odds of life for us to succeed? And these are some of the things I've come up with. Number one is information. Always having more of it than every other person around you. As women who really want to make a way for ourselves in this life, we have to come to every meeting prepared. We have to always be thinking, how can we come to this meeting with everything we need to bring our best, basically bring our best selves to the table. And we also should not give out information that gives people the upper hand when it comes to us. A good example of this would be when women go out on dates with men, and instead of listening to the man, watching his actions, getting to know him, actually enjoying the experience, these women begin to pour out all their emotional traumas, problems, all their exes on this man on the first date or in the first few dates. And this just gives the man the leverage to manipulate you and get what he wants from you. Another good example of this is that maybe you're talking to a company and they ask you if you have other job offers and you tell them, oh yeah, I have these job offers. These are the things that give other people leverage over you. And the goal is that you need to have the upper hand. You have to have information that they don't have access to. Quick story time about when information was so important and how we can get more of it easily. I used to live in one of those very expensive apartment buildings in a very big city in the US. And to live in that building, you had to have made three times the cost of an apartment there. And I had a small apartment and it still cost me like $2,500. It was expensive as fuck. Even though I lived in the cheapest apartment in that building, something I ended up doing was becoming very good friends with the lady at the front desk. The lady at the front desk, she did not make enough to work in that building. Even with the discount, she said I could not afford to live here. However, what she did know was what every other person in the building made. And when she knew that at that time when I was dating, which probably should not have been, she would tell me, "Oh, that man, he makes a lot of money." Like because she knew how much each man made, and she knew which people I should talk to whenever I needed certain things. She'd be like, "Oh, that couple there, they are both inventors. You should start talking to them." And this is a power trick that I learned in my life is that a lot of times when we are trying to level up or go to the next level in our lives, we try to make friends with people at the top, the CTUs, the CEUs. And making friends with them is good, but also know everybody else is trying to make friends with them. What we should actually do is make friends with the people who do not have a lot of power and be influential so the people who have power come to us. A good example would be like the lady at the front desk. In that building, she was probably the brokest person there. but she had a lot of influence. She also had a lot of information that other people did not have access to. She also knew things like which couples were arguing, which things were going down in a way that, like, if I was a vengeful and manipulative person who maybe wanted to date one of those men, she could tell me, oh yeah, that couple, we've had noise complaints that they're always arguing. Another good example is even at work, when we used to have offices, making friends with the security guards, the receptionists, the assistants. Those are the people who have knowledge and do not have the I don't know what word to use here, but do not have the requirements of keeping that knowledge private. Like the security guard or the receptionist knows which people are being let go, which people are coming early to the office, which people are leaving. They overhear things that nobody else is hearing. Those ones know which packages come in and out of the building. And that information could be useful to you when maybe you want to know, oh, what's happening in this office? And they tell you, oh, that person is getting certain amount of packages sent in. This event's about to happen. Those are the ones who would see things that you would not see first. And those are the ones you should be making friends with. So power tip as we begin to navigate life. The person at the front desk, give them a cup of coffee. Always be nice to them. Always talk to them. Because those are the ones that will give you information and let you know when things are about to go down ahead of time. The second power rule that I have learned in my life is always know that people are taking a position even when they decide not to play. I remember seeing this in a tweet where somebody says if a company tells you not to that they are not going to negotiate, that's them taking a negotiation stance. And it was so groundbreaking to me because it's very easy when we hear no, especially from a company, from a we, like this magical we, to just assume it's a no. But I can promise you now, for every company policy there is out there is somebody they are changing that policy for to accommodate. Or there's somebody who, when they complain, they find ways around that policy to fit that person's needs. When a company tells you something like they're not willing to negotiate, or a man says, I'm not willing to do these things, the for you part is really silent. And what we need to do in those situations is know how we can get more leverage to either get what we want or be willing to walk away. A good example of this would be with regards to the company. So maybe a company tells you we're not going to negotiate. You have two options. You can either take the offer, not actually, you have three options. You can either take the offer, not take the offer, or return with a counter offer. If you really want to work at that company, go begin to interview with other companies and see if you can get an offer quickly. If you get a better offer from another company, at least at this point, you have more leverage to go to this company and tell them, company A, that I really want to work here, but I have this competing offer. That puts you in a different position than somebody who just has one offer and the company is unwilling to negotiate with. The third power rule that I see a lot of women make, this is a very bad mistake, is not look at things from a numbers perspective. I remember I was watching a video in Barstool Sports, and this young man was talking about, it was about college football, and it was specifically about the pre-game parties that happen before college football events. And about there's this man at the door or at the entrance of these parties that makes sure the gender ratio is what these men need. And okay, you would think, okay, what should be the ideal gender ratio? Maybe 1 to 1. That's like a lazy man's way of thinking. Or maybe 2 to 1. No, this man said the ideal gender ratio would be 8 women to every 1 man. Think about this. These men look at it like we want to flood this place with so many women that even the most mediocre, ugly, and pathetic man in here has access to a woman. And then I see women not play their numbers right. When you are applying to a job, you should be applying to a million jobs. Look at it like this. If it takes you 1,000 jobs to get one job offer, if you apply to 10,000, you get 10 job offers. If you apply to 100,000, you get 100. Simplifying things to numbers takes out the sadness and takes out the pain in when one job fails, because you're like, okay, I need like 1,000 to get this one job. So one is out of the way. A couple of failed ones are out. So now I'm closer to that one job. But seeing how these college-aged men, stupid, drunk, dumb group of men knew at this point I need to have 8 women competing for my ass to make sure I succeed. Another good example of this is when I see black women talk about they don't want to date interracially. It doesn't fucking matter if you don't want men of other races. But you have to understand that it's like going into a card game, and while every other person is playing with a deck of 40, you're playing with a deck of 10. I remember when a friend of mine, we were talking about interracial dating, and this is a wonderful friend of mine. And she was talking about how she went on this date with this black man, she's black, and she told him, oh yeah, I've dated white men in the past. And he said something like, oh, I've dated skinny girls in the past. And he said that to intentionally hurt her. And it wasn't that she was fat. She just was not a skinny bitch. But he said that to intentionally make her feel bad. Because these men know if you're dealing with a deck of 40, it means they have to compete more and you are tilting the odds in your favor. And even if you're like a black woman, white woman, woman of any race, do not, like information, do not ever let the man know that you are dealing with a deck of 10 instead of 40. If he asks you how your experience is, they'll be like, I've dated Chad, Brad, and everybody in between. Because that's the way of making sure that you do not give anybody undue leverage over you. The fourth way I've really learned about tilting the odds in your favor is often just engineering opportunities that were not granted to you. And especially going after easy wins. Something I've learned while working is that a lot of things in a company have not been done just because they have not been done. We are very good at rationalizing something and saying, oh, this has not been done because maybe it was not important or because it would fail. No, it's because some people just haven't dedicated the time to solve this problem. Go after easy wins, and an easy win would be like a public speaking event. If you're on a team with very highly skilled engineers, but none of them is very good at presenting, go present. It makes you unique. Gives you leverage in your team, and especially public speaking roles. Women should be going after that shit because that's an easy win. Another easy win is looking for work that is not actually hard, but maybe just annoyingly difficult, maybe tedious work. Because then even like tedious work that nobody wants to do. That's an easy win. You take a bottle of wine and you do it over one weekend. And you make sure that you add value to the company in such a way that does not require too much like mental exhaustion, just duration. And when I mean looking for new opportunities, if you're a college student right now and you can't get an internship, go to the best professor you know in your field. Come prepared, come ready, come with a research topic that you really want to do with them, with a research program broken down during the summer, and ask them if they're willing to do it with you. You'd be surprised how many different resources these professors have. If you're at work, reach out to a coworker who's also on the climb with you, and you can partner on something. We have to be as women, we have to be able to engineer opportunities that we do not have. We have to be able to look at this world and say, oh, I'm going to get an internship even if I have to create one. And I guess the last thing I've really thought about shifting the odds in our favor is developing mad thinking, like thinking mad sometimes. And this is a very new one, and something I'm really going to have to study over the next couple of months. What does it mean to think mad? And there was this book I was reading about a war, and it actually is a story of a war where there was one of the people warring clans had been surrounded and they were in a castle, and they were slowly running out of food and rations. And the other part of the war, the clan that they were competing against, had surrounded them. And so they were back down to their last cow and bag of grain. And they reached out to their commander, were like, what should we do? And the commander told them, take the bag of grain, cut open the cow, put the bag of grain in the cow, and fling it over the wall. Any normal person would have told the team, let's ration out the cow and the grain and see how long we can last. But this commander did something. Instead of looking at that cow as a survival tool, that cow became something to send a message. That cow sent a message to the opposing clan that we have enough grains and cows in here that we're willing to wait out this war. And at the end of the story, the other clan just left because they knew they were dealing with crazy people who were willing to wait out the war, and people who they thought had resources to wait out the war. How can we develop mad thinking? How can we think mad to get things that we ordinarily would not have been given to us. When I study the lives of like very great women, some of which like Joan of Arc, I really love Josephine Baker. I really love even Wendy Williams. I'm actually in one of my future videos. I'm going to talk about Wendy Williams and what we can learn from her iconic life and the iconic lives of lots of other women. But even Josephine Baker, when she became very famous, it was from dancing topless in a skirt with bananas, like a skirt made of bananas in Paris. And that drove people crazy in Paris. And that was mad thinking, doing something that nobody would, like something that's just unheard of, and something that achieves the results you want. And in order to tilt the odds in our favor, we all need to develop mad thinking. And this is very hard for women, not because we cannot, um, we're not raised to do mad thinking, but because a lot of socialization of womanhood is to be passive, is not to take too much space. But mad thinking requires that you take risk, you occupy space, you be a little bit crazy. So we must all develop the ability to think a little mad. Another example of mad thinking is like Bobby Velasco from Cake Boss. When he was taking over his father's bakery, I think after his father died, he was thinking to himself, how can I make this bakery do well? And that's when he came up with the idea to do outlandish cakes that nobody else could compete with. Do something that literally nobody else can touch, like nobody else can in any way come near competing with, and make a name for yourself. And I remember a host on Wendy Williams talked about this. What is your red soul? Like Louboutins have these red souls, and that's what makes them stand out uniquely. And that requires mad thinking to say, what is this thing that has not been done? And do I have the courage to do this thing? And I hope as women we can all develop some more mad thinking. Because I keep on saying it, if the men are trying to get to Mars, they should be trying to get to Venus. And we need some women doing some deep, crazy, mad thinking to figure out how we can get faster rockets and get the fuck out of this planet that's not going anywhere. I hope this was useful to everybody. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. I would like to thank my first ever patron and subscriber for donating to all of this. I'm hoping from all of this that we can create a community of women who really want to get to the next level in life, who love being in communion with and collaboration with other women who want to make a way for themselves. I want woman who has listened up to this point, to look at this world and know that I have a position in this world. I am going to design this world around me in my own image, create the life I uniquely want for myself, make a way for myself in this world. And I hope that the 5 things I've said about how we can subtly tilt the odds in our favor you found useful. If you know anything that you've learned in your life about giving yourself more leverage, please put them down in the comment section. And I hope that I can create a community of women who want to literally make a way for themselves in this life, social and economically, socially and economically. I hope you've all enjoyed this. I have enjoyed pulling this together, and I will be posting more regularly. In my next conversation would be about the iconic life of Miss Wendy Williams and what we can learn from her life and how we can leverage it. And I think after that, I will talk about, I don't know, I'm trying to get topic ideas together, but who should subscribe to this channel? If you are a high achieving woman, maybe not yet, maybe you're up and coming doctor, still in medical school, up and coming lawyer, software engineer, just woman on your grind, business owner, and you really want a community of like-minded women who are trying to make a way for themselves in this life, please subscribe, please come contribute. And if you can pay for my Substack or Patreon, that way if we can get to 10 people in the Patreon or Substack, I can create a Discord where we can all actually share tips and trades. Because if you thought last year's GameStop was last month. If you thought GameStop was crazy, the rest of the year we're going to see crazier things. So we need women who know stock. We need women who know medicine. We need women who know law. We need women who know software engineering to all give each other game. And this is another form of actually tilting the odds in your favor. And for every single one of us to tilt the odds in our favors, we all need to contribute to this community and actually create a powerhouse of women who are telling each other, I think this might be the next GameStop. I think this might be the next thing we should look into. I think this housing market is growing. And this has been a very long video. But moral of the story is that I am a tribeless woman trying to create a tribe of high achieving women who want to make a way for themselves in this life. if you think you're one of those women, you can subscribe if you feel like you don't want to pay the $3 or however much my fucking Patreon is. But if you think you're one of those women, pay $3. If we get to 10, we can actually create a Discord. And if and before we do that, you get 30 minutes. You and I can talk about our goals for this community, and we can really just support each other as we make ways for ourselves in this life. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to our next conversation. Have a lovely rest of your day.